Pistol braces. Gonna make a video about it. Very hot topic now. The ATF says they are treating most supposed pistols as short-barreled rifles, and there's been a lot of mayhem, confusion, and what's been going on here. But before we get into it, if you would please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, and if you could, become a member and support the channel. Now, like with everything nowadays with the government, everything is vague, everything is presented in a very confusing manner where you have no idea, like in terms of pistol braces, and we'll stick with that. What is legal, what's going on, or are you breaking the law, are you not breaking the law? And I believe this is deliberately done for some reasons that we'll go over later on. Now, supposedly they said that, if we look at pistol braces, it was a mess over the years, back and forth. First, it was you can have something. What is a pistol brace, number one? Okay, what we're going to do is zoom in here and figure out. There are several types of devices. One most common one, this collapsible one, was a pistol brace, and it's defined by, you would take this Velcro strap and open this up, and then this separates, would clamp down over your arm like this. I can't do that anymore. And this was the only, some kind of a apparatus like this was the only thing considered as a pistol brace. Then the argument is whether if you hold this up to your shoulder, okay, pull it out, extend it, hold it up to your shoulder, now are you breaking the law and this is a short-barreled rifle, okay? This is a collapsible stock, okay? The difference is it's kind of solid here, doesn't have that open back. Okay, so this would be designated, or this is a collapsible rifle stock. So to put this on the back of an AR and have something under 16 inches would constitute a short barrel rifle, plain and simple. Okay, this here is a fin brace. As you see, very thin. This is to be used like this. You'd hold a gun and the brace goes against your arm. Okay? This is sold by PSA as a pistol with a fin brace lower. They sell complete guns. They sell lowers like this. This is considered a pistol. Now, if you put an upper with a barrel under 16 inches, it's supposed to be legal. And then again, there is the thing, what happens if you extend this out and then hold it to your shoulder? Now, this pistol becomes a short barrel rifle. Again, this conundrum here. Now, there is a third style or type of device, and that is, I think it's a Thorson cheek rest. Now, I know an individual that has a pistol that he hunts with, a 10-inch barrel, 6.5 Grendel with a scope on top. And what the Thorson is, it's a tube, okay, that is this length. It does not move or collapse, and it's padded with a heavy pad at an angle, okay, and it has storage compartments for batteries and that. So this is a wide thing. It's way wider than this. I don't have one, but I've seen the one the guy has. And how that would work is that padded thing, when you would hold it, and I'll show you, it's my shoulder, you would hold the pistol up here and place this against your face. That's why it's a cheek rest. It's resting on your cheek. And the way his gun is, you can see through the scope. But if you notice, this is not touching my shoulder. That probably is the only airtight setup, a cheek rest, where there ain't going to be no argument. Okay? So, my question is, you can buy this here legal, like I did, as a pistol lower. Okay? Now, why is the ATF saying that they're still going to enforce the law, okay, where it's a short-barreled rifle? Because two laws on the books. The 1934 Firearms Act that, regulates, it doesn't outlaw them, but you have to register, and it used to be you pay a transfer fee for machine guns, silencers, or as you like to call them, suppressors, but in the old days we call them silencers. Machine guns, silencers, and any short-barreled rifles or sawed-off shotguns. Now, for years, they've come out with the Mossberg Shockwave, which is a sawed-off shotgun. It's got a handle, like a pistol grip type of thing, or club handle, and it's a short-barrel shotgun. These are sold not as a pistol, not as this, and the way they get around it is it was never assembled in a factory with a normal stock. It was assembled with this weird, and it ain't even a pistol grip. It looks, like the old-fashioned rounded off, like a club handle. So these things are sold, you go to the gun show and you buy them. All right? What the ATF is saying, and if you go to that link with the Washington lawyer, he explains the wording. The wording of the National Firearms Act and the wording of the 1968 Gun Control Act state. And the way the wording is anything with a barrel under the 16 inches in length, okay, that has some sort of modification device, add-on, or anything, all right, this is a pistol brace, that can be used to shoulder said weapon, okay. So, in a way, because these things do extend out, they extend out enough to where that's enough room to shoulder this. Okay, now we're back to the old conundrum. If I hold this like I should, like a brace, I'm legal, but if I extend it out, which if you extend this out, depending on how long your arms are, okay, that's still basically there, kind of almost to the elbow, all right? But if you shoulder it, and recently there was a criminal raid on a place they were selling illegal alcohol, or alcohol without a license. I think they were gambling, and they also found some pot there. But in the the things they confiscated, they showed the liquor, they showed a bundle of marijuana, and then they show the money to prove that this was a business when you got like $6-7 grand laying there, an assortment of guns, and there were about 4 or 5 handguns, and there was a pistol, an AR pistol, supposedly, in there, and it was identical to this, the identical thin brace, and it had a short-barreled AR. The news said that the ATF is in on the investigation, and they have determined that that firearm with this setup was a short-barreled rifle, and they are going to look at it like that. So does this mean that everyone who has purchased one of these from PSA or numerous gun shops all over Are they all going to be considered short-barreled rifles? One way of looking at it is like one guy said. He said, should you even care or worry about it? He says it's also kind of a ploy. There's two things. Number one, I'll tell you number one, the ploy and the bullshit here, is like with this raid on this illegal bar, okay? What they would do is they got him for selling liquor illegally, gambling, the marijuana, okay? And then you throw on a fourth charge, short barrel rifle. I think that's 10 years in a federal prison minimum. It might be more, it might be 20. That's pretty serious offense. And like the guy said, when they got these people, they tack on all these charges, okay? And this one, the possession and that being in the building, is a serious one. And he goes, it's the way the legal system works. They go into court, they got this whole slew of charges that if it served consecutively, you know, they're looking at 80, 100 years. So what they do to save time and money is the lawyers negotiate and they make a deal. We will drop certain charges if you plead guilty and take a certain sentence, which would be less time in prison. Okay, this is a technique that our criminal justice system uses. Okay, so that is one. Two, when you hear this, when somebody like me, you know, I really don't need the hassle. Say my tail light's out or my headlight goes out and the police stop me and I'm coming from the range and they want to know, do you have any weapons? And you say, yes, I do. Got nothing to hide. It's legal, right? And then they kind of go and you get into a legal conundrum. And even if you go to court and prove that, you know, hey, kind of didn't do anything wrong or whatever, it's just going to cost you a ton of money one way or the other. So the simplest thing to do, and it's not that easy, and I may look into this process and I'll make videos about it, is you take this thing and figure out how to get it registered as a short barrel rifle. Then you have no issues whatsoever. But on the other hand, like suppressors, everyone was asking me, are you going to start getting some suppressors and all this other stuff? And you could, you know, fairly easily and not costing a ton of money. But the process, the thing is, you're in a national registry. Now, once registry and registration is the first step to confiscation, okay? I think they're trying to force people, because now there's no charge. You just say, hey, I got this, I want to register it as a short barrel rifle. You can file the paperwork online, it's pretty simple, get it back, everything's groovy, your ass is covered, you're not going to jail, okay? But you're in the registry. And again, now that it's registered as a short barrel rifle, if you wish to go and liquidate it or sell it, now this kind of complicates who the hell can buy this, all right? It may be easier to go to one of these auction houses that specialize in that, where they take national firearms items and they auction them off. That can be one way of doing it. But so that's where we kind of stand. It's one of these things. And yes, under the old laws, and these are laws on the books from 1934 and 1969. You know, you'd have to go to court and prove, you know, like this here is even worse, this brace. Because if you pull this out, it's easy to shoulder it. And somebody actually makes a kit, a little box that'll slip in here to hold supposedly batteries or accessories, a spare firing pin or something. They make a little accessory box that plugs in there and would plug that hole up in there. See? And then that would make it solid like this rifle stock. So if you put that accessory in there, plug up that hole to make this solid, does this become a rifle stock? You see weird little technicalities like this. So that's where all of this is, and you know, I believe the government is trying to force you just to cover your own butt to register them. Okay, like in my state, you can do that. I think New York State or California, these things are banned or outlawed or something. I don't know from state to state. But in my state, it's not a big hassle to have a short barrel rifle. Okay, but there are some states that when this whole thing come up, some people had these and their state is not going to allow National Firearms Act item. The state says you can't have this as a short barrel rifle. So there's all kinds of legal stuff. But yes, it appears if the government so feels like it, they can prosecute you for having something illegal and unregistered, even though you can easily go down and buy one of these things as classified as a pistol with a brace. Alright? I can go to PSA and get a complete gun with this fin brace, and that is a pistol. That is when you buy it, take it, it's a pistol. But the ATF can, and see, this is where I don't understand how they allow it. Okay, because like the Shockwave, that's a sawed-off shotgun. If you look at the original statute, the size, the barrel, all that other stuff falls also underneath that. But yet they're selling them. You go to the gun show, you can buy all kinds of short-barreled shotguns, not just the pump Shockwave. They even make the Turkish ones, are short-barreled, semi-automatic and everything. There's a lot of those guns out there. So I don't know. It's kind of like they're doing this deliberately. They're not clear. They keep changing their position, and it's to frighten you to where you just want to get rid of these guns and not take the risk. Because a lot of people out there just like fooling around with guns and shooting them. They don't have criminal intent, but yet you're leaving the door open for criminal charges. You know. If they will hunt you down and try to find you one of these, probably not. But if you're involved in something, if you're involved in criminal activity with one of these, which anyway you should be prosecuted anyway, armed robbery or whatever. But say there's an altercation, and with the economy starting to suck, things are going to start getting tough. More thievery, more break-ins, more people trespassing on your property or attacking you in the middle of the night. Say you go to defend yourself in one of these. Is this going to pose a legal problem? Irregardless whether, you know, you're justified in using deadly force, or even if you just, you know, like most people said, a lot of times self-defense. Just producing the firearm in a situation stops it right there and the individuals retreat. Okay? Especially if they're not suspecting you to be armed. They'll just go away. But I've heard where people legitimately, when somebody was verbally threatening them and approaching them, have unholstered a gun, a handgun, that they have, you know, the license to carry and everything, and then they come back in a civil case and sue these people, or these people are arrested for brandishing a weapon, and they say that it's their fault that this situation escalated by them. You know, the person threatening him filed charges against him that he had a gun. You know. So I don't know, guys. Well, that's my thoughts on it. Be careful. Like I said, click on the link, go to Washington Gun Lawyer. He explains it a lot better than me in about a 10-12 minute video. And you don't see all these videos, nobody is handling the guns like myself. Because now I don't know if YouTube's going to come back and say, hey, you know, these are short barrel rifles or whatever. It's a lower receiver with a plastic thing on there, but they can maybe come back and say, hey, you're displaying a short barrel weapon or something. I don't know. So that's another problem for another day. All right, thank you and stay tuned.